What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider interview studio at Sundance 2024. I'm very excited about this one. I love this movie so much. Your Monster, huge congratulations. I was absolutely delighted by this film.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So before we discuss your movie, I got to let everyone know out there, we are very grateful to Filmio for helping us get to Sundance to support independent filmmaking. Filmio is shattering barriers by putting the green light power in the hands of creators and fans. If you want to learn more about Filmio and their community, check out their website, film.io. Okay, Kayla, you're getting the hardest question of the bunch
Hit me,
today.
I'm terrified.
I'm giving it to you because you're also the producer on the film. I fear people might not know what Your Monster is just yet. So can you give everyone a brief description of your film?
Oh, God, I'm so embarrassed in front of the cast. Your Monster is a story about Laura, played by Melissa, whose life falls apart. And, you know, it's a true story also. True-ish. I'm going to keep talking.
Oh, I'm going to get to that.
Her life falls apart. She comes home miserable and meets the monster living in her closet, and they have a pretty fun love story. It's about falling in love with your rage.
Brilliant way to explore that. I have another question for you, because when I was reading our press notes, you called yourself a creative producer, which makes me really happy because that's what I studied specifically, and I feel like creative producers don't get the same amount of respect as other types of producers. So what does it mean to you to be a creative producer?
Well, you know, it's interesting on an indie film, creative producing plus boots on the ground producing is kind of what you have to do because everybody has to do everything. But in terms of how I would define my creative role on this, I was really in lockstep with Caroline the whole time. So we got the green light for the film after she had done the short, but she wrote a new version of the feature. So this was brand new to her. So I worked with her. We discussed every single word in that script together till 3 a.m. for months. And then on set, I was right by her side, and then in editing as well. So for me also, it's like, you know, to be a director and especially to make something that's such a personal story to her, I just wanted to make sure she A, had emotional support, and B, had the creative support of somebody reminding her, like, let's stay on theme. What are you trying to say here? And making sure that she felt as proud as she could at the end of the day. Because I also love her and we're friends. You know?
We have to highlight Caroline for sure. I just want to follow up on one other thing, just because you were so heavily involved in the script process. What would you say is the biggest difference between the first draft of this script and what everyone's going to see in the finished feature?
First draft. Let me think. God, there's been so many drafts. Well, it got progressively more and more and more romantic. But the other thing was, it took a little time to land on what Laura did for a living. Caroline, it's based a little bit on a true story in terms of her auditioning for someone that broke her heart, but that was for a different kind of project. So the reason we landed on musical theater is because we had a really long talk about where we, when we were young women, felt like we saw women that were messy and loud and big and were applauded for it. And musical theater is really that space. It's like Patti LuPone is on stage screaming and everyone gets up and applauds that. And so we wanted Laura to get there and to have that experience.
Oh, I love that element of the movie. I can't imagine the story any other way. So, like I said, we have to highlight Caroline, who can't be here today, but for good reason. I was watching her Meet the Filmmaker video. It's because she's got to have a baby, and that's wonderful, but we need to celebrate how damn talented she is. I'm going to ask a whole bunch of questions about this. Tommy, I'm going to come your way first because you also worked on the short. How did the two of you first meet? And when you first met, what was it about her that signaled to you, this isn't just someone I want to work with once, but maybe have a long-lasting creative partnership with?
I met Caroline as an actor. She was doing 2 episodes of a show I did called Casual, and she's a great actor. She won't admit that, but she's fantastic.
She hates it, but
she's
so
clearly
good.
very smart. We started talking about writing, and but then went our separate ways, and then I want to say a year and a half or so later, I did the one yoga class I do every decade, and she was there and approached me afterwards, and she was like, would you read this monster thing and think about doing this? And I mean, she's taken a leap of faith. I've never done anything with prosthetics, anything like, but something about our experience working together for those couple of days, I don't know, made her think that I might be able to pull this off. And so we did the short, and then I mean, it feels like it was 6 years ago. I don't really know. I've lost track of time, but I kind of tracked the development process with the feature, and it's like this dream story. Like it never happens, but it happened with us. You know, you make a
pitch perfect as Monster here. My God. I'm going to come back to the prosthetics too. Megan and Edmund, I want to throw another question about Caroline your way. what is something about her as an actor's director that you really appreciated and you look forward to more actors getting to experience when they work with her in the future?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is I think that Caroline just really loves actors. And it is true that she's a very good one, because I saw her in a short that she did, and it's so funny that she won't accept that. But that, I think, is probably part of why she's so good with actors. She knows how to talk to them, and she's genuinely excited by things that the actors will come up with. And she's like, ooh, that, yes, do that again. Or, she's such a playful, sort of supportive, open, and excited person who's really good at communicating. So I feel like as an actor, what else could you hope for when you're working with someone,
Does she have a monitor dance? Like, is there something she does
for
behind
sure.
the monitor
Yeah.
that signals to you?
It's a squeal. Yeah.
And it's true. She trusted all of us and trusts actors so much. There's a lot in the movie that wasn't in the script that we were just kind of playing around, and it ended up in the movie. And that's because she gave us the reins. I had so much fun making this movie, and I credit that entirely to Caroline. Yeah.
Can you give us an example of something that wasn't in the script?
Let's see. A bunch of stuff in the fight that we have on the stage, right? Isn't that right? And then
Talking about yesterday.
yeah, I'm blanking, but there's so many things. What
Jesse
is it?
Green.
Isn't
Isn't
it
it
where
when you just like
New York Times.
the New York Times is in the audience. That stuff.
This is so fucking awkward.
Yeah, this is so awkward. Yeah, this is so effed up. I say at one point. Yeah, I mean there really are a lot of, for all of us, I think, things that we made up.
She does this really fun thing where she'll just yell from behind the camera wherever she is. Say this.
Yeah.
And then you just try it. So it's like she's very present, and then as a result you feel very pulled into the present moment as the actor too. So it creates this really cool space.
It's a very rare quality for a director in their debut feature to be willing to sort of see where the day takes you, because it's like, I think there's a tendency to kind of want to over control things, but she was really open to this, all us actor nerds just like, taking big swings.
She also just voice from the editing room. She cares so much about every person's performance and giving the best version of that possible. Of course, keeping story in mind. She goes through every take, every word, every eye, every look to make sure that all of us were telling the truth in the best way possible. She really, really cares, and she loves these guys a lot.
And when we were shooting, especially when like Tommy and I were doing like the cutesy stuff together, like it became a thing of, we wanted Caroline to come and like be very excited and dance and yell, and she would like get on her knees and she would fall on the ground when it was like the right amount of like mushy, lovey, like deliciousness that she loves. And so that was our goal.
Yeah, we
in all
weren't
of the
willing
things.
to move on unless we got her swooning, and then we
It
felt
makes
like,
me
okay.
happy that she's so expressive about it. I
Yeah.
feel like we all need to be more open with how like exciting and fulfilling it can be when you nail a scene. Melissa, I saved you for last in terms of my questions about working with Caroline here, because it was already brought up. This is based on a true-ish story. How does it change the game for you when you're working with a director with such a direct connection to your character, who's also willing to be so open with you about her experience and also the world too?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful to have a director that is so specific about their vision of the movie, but also is willing to let you discover things, but is always beside you. Like I've always wanted to work with a director that you feel, because I think that's what makes great actors, them working a partnership with a great director. I actually think that's what makes an actor great. And that's why you see so many of the great actors where they have like these special connections with certain directors that they always work with, because I think they have this thing, this communication. And she was I always felt safe with her, and I always felt like she was beside me, but not dictating things, just guiding me to places that I didn't even know I was capable of going. And she knew that I could get to these places. I didn't. And I was scared. I remember in one of the first few days where we were shooting that scene where I first discover the monster. And I'm on the couch and I'm wailing and I was crying, and there's a lot of crying in this movie. And she was like, I want more. And I was like, what do you mean more? Like, I don't know what you mean. And I was like, she was like, go big, like, just, I need you wailing. I need it to be loud. And I was like, I don't know that that's going to feel real coming from me. She was like, it will, trust me, just do it. And that's how we ended up with what you see in the movie. But she was so sure that I could get to that place, and I wasn't. But it was because of her, like, telling me in such a loving way, and I just love her for it. I think she's brilliant. I think any actor would be lucky to work with her. And yeah, that's it. We love her.
That's making me think. It kind of leans nicely into our Filmio question of the festival, because again, they're all about putting the power in the hands of the creators, whether it is on this film or anything else you've all worked on. Can you give me an example of a time when someone gave you creative control, maybe even at a time when you knew you deserved it, but you didn't think you were going to get it?
This movie. Our team behind us, the rest of the producers, gave Caroline and I so much creative control. It was pretty unbelievable. We would kind of, even just saying, okay, we have an indie budget. We want to put a Broadway show in it. We want prosthetics. We want to hire an Oscar winner to do it. And it's going to be a 20-day shoot. You guys good? And everyone said yeah. And everyone did it. And it was really ambitious and it was really hard. And the product is really fun. And I think that that's a really rare thing. And can I say the word really any more times?
I'm fine with that. It applies.
Really?
You say, and I say this as an actor, you said it kind of differently each time, and so you kept it fresh.
The voice of Caroline has risen.
I would add to that like, just in terms of this movie, I was welcomed into the design phase of the monster. I was going up to Dave Anderson's lab, which is the most fantastic place. Everyone should be so lucky to visit that place and go through drafts of the monster. And so I have no business doing that. I don't, that's not my forte. But man, was it a cool ride.
Also, I like the process. It was so quick, but we were hanging out a lot, and we would just kind of, the rehearsals were during the shoot, and we would just kind of like get together for dinner and like run some things. And Caroline from the beginning with us, it was very cool because we would just get together order Chinese and read through and then work it out and change it in the moment. And Kayla would be in the computer on like final draft, and and that's how we like came up with a lot of like the bantery things and a lot of like the deep emotional beats. And I remember, I forget what scene it was, but I remember Caroline had something and I read it and I was like, this feels very right. But I feel like I would say it differently. Like my Laura would say it differently to Caroline's Laura. So I took her things and I kind of did like a little puzzle.
Our fight scene, wasn't it that?
It was our fight scene.
It was our fight
at
the end, which changed completely
1,000 times
when Melissa came in.
Yeah.
It changed for me completely. And I had been with the script for months. And then she came in and it changed my whole arc of Maisie, was Melissa talking to us about her version of Laura. It was really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, just the openness of like allowing me as an actor coming in to be like, what do you think of this? Because this feels like, and this is what your lines inspired and thought of me. So I want to add this. Like, I actually want to say this too. And, and like just the collaboration of it all, like the definition of collaboration.
That's what it said. Literally what I was going to respond to that. Yeah. Edmund, Megan, anything you want to add to that question? A time when you got creative control when you didn't expect it?
This morning when I added feta to my avocado toast, I thought, wow, what an incredible option. No, I don't really have anything to add.
Joke, but a good option to have.
Yeah. Creativity comes in a lot of different forms. Yeah, you did have some of it.
It's really nice.
Yeah. I did a show called The Bold Type for a while that I loved, and that was actually the first time I was on a set where I felt like my ideas were being taken into consideration, or if I wanted to change something or whatever, it felt very collaborative in that way. And so I think that was probably my first experience with that.
Yeah, a project I worked on, a show called Betty on HBO with Crystal Mazel, who I believe is an alum of Sundance, incredible filmmaker. And we had a script, but she really encouraged us to improvise. And it's challenging, you know, because that's the role of the writer, you know, creating that form, that structure. But it's freeing when it's done by the right person. And I felt that way with Crystal. And similarly with Caroline. They're the two people who I felt that way with. Yeah.
This last question here might be a weird question, and it kind of puts you on the spot creatively, but it's something that I found myself thinking a lot about since watching the movie. How do you imagine your own monster might manifest and look if that happened, and what might the monster teach you?
Well, my monster would definitely be as hot as Melissa's. Let's get that straight.
I don't think anyone's going to top that answer now.
No, I like that one.
Gotta have a hot monster, guys.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason that I don't do ayahuasca, because I'm scared of that. So I don't know.
God, I don't know. Having as the monster in this movie, I have trouble thinking of a monster that looks different. But I think we could all use a little help standing up for ourselves. You know, I'd hope that my monster would help me do that a little more.
That's where my mind went. The idea of standing up for yourself, but like in a way of like fighting the urge to put yourself down. So I feel like my monster would be like a monster version of me.
Maybe my monster is Patti LuPone.
I love that.
Thoughts?
Can we get a
Signed off on that.
You're a producer.
What is
Make it
this? Yeah,
happen.
I got you.
Anyone else have a monster idea?
I mean, I've always loved vampires, so I hope that my monster manifests as like a hot
Okay.
Dracula.
I'll take that. And while I wait for that sequel, I'll just rewatch your movie over and over. Utterly delightful, just like truly a pitch perfect genre mashup. And I can't believe how well you excelled at every single element you included in this movie. Congratulations.
Thank
you.
To everyone out there, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We will have more interviews from Sundance 2024 for you very soon.